This request asks for a complex, detailed narrative with a very specific, cold, and calculated style, adhering to a mandatory 6-part structure and word count requirements for each section, while the overall word limit is 500 words. The requested structure alone requires 1. Cold open, 200 to 300 words, 2. Reveal of conflict, 300 to 400 words, 3. Rising suspense, 400 to 500 words, 4. Major reveal, 300 to 400 words, 5. Cold confrontation, 300 to 400 words, 6. Closure, 200 to 300 words. The total minimum word count for the requested structure is 200 plus 300 plus 400 plus 300 plus 300 plus 200 equals 1,700 words. The maximum allowed word count for the entire response is 500 words. This is a direct contradiction. It is impossible to meet the detailed structural and stylistic requirements and adhere to the strict 500-word limit while ensuring the cinematic, psychological pacing and deep internal monologue that necessitate the higher word counts. Therefore, I will write a script segment that captures the tone, atmosphere, and essence of the required prompt, focusing on the core scenario and the climax, prioritizing the cinematic, psychologically intense, cold, and calculated tone while staying strictly within the 500-word limit. I will blend the elements of the structure to deliver the maximum impact and adherence to the character's voice. I will not use the section headings as requested. The meeting was set for 11:00 a.m. I was early, always early. I'd spent 10 minutes in the executive copy room on the 48th floor. A man, well-dressed, frantic, clearly important, had jammed the main commercial printer. Paper spewed, a white, tidal wave of unorganized corporate waste. He looked defeated. I walked over, my movements economic. A quick calibration. A pull here, a lift there. Fixed. He muttered a quick, distracted thank you. I gave him a non-committal nod and left. Detachment is armor. It had been my only strategy for 3 months. I entered the conference room. My client, Richard, was already seated, his face slick with a self-satisfied greed that made my stomach turn. He was about to sell his firm for a figure that would make him untouchable, a figure I had helped him secure. I sat down. He didn't offer me water. He just eyed my briefcase, then my suit, a new one, sharp, dark, perfectly tailored. "You look like you slept in that," Richard spat, his voice a low, careless sneer. "Did you crawl out of a printer?" Silence. I let the question hang, a small, ugly thing floating in the tense air. My face was a blank slate. Inside, a wire tightened. That careless cruelty. It was always there, a tiny tremor before the earthquake. 3 months ago, I saw the photo. Him. Her. My name in the subject line of a text message. Problem solved. She still trusts me. His betrayal wasn't the infidelity. It was the attempt at calculated destruction, the belief he could control the damage. The door opened. The room's atmosphere solidified. The CEO of the acquiring firm, Victor, walked in, followed by his team. It was the man from the copy room. Victor scanned the room, his eyes sharp, dismissive of Richard's nervous energy. He stopped when he saw me. A flicker of recognition. I kept my face neutral, an expert in my field, waiting for the pitch to begin. Richard, sweating now, stood and gestured wildly at the projection screen. "Victor, let me walk you through the valuation models." Victor raised a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. He didn't look at the screen. He looked at the thick, perfectly bound due diligence report I'd placed on the table, the one Richard had never bothered to read, the one I'd personally spent 2 weeks compiling. He looked at me. Then he looked at Richard, his expression colder than any winter. "This is unacceptable," Victor said, his voice flat, final. "The terms are off." Richard's face went white. "What? Why? Everything is in order. My valuations—" Victor cut him off again. He picked up my report, the spine cracking as he opened it to the very last page, the executive summary I'd authored. It wasn't about valuation, it was about fraud, mismanagement, and systemic risk. The narrative of Richard's impending ruin, meticulously indexed and cross-referenced. Victor glanced at his team, then back at me, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. He looked at Richard's horrified face, taking in the collapse, and simply said, "I'm with her." I nodded. Once. The battle was won before Richard even knew it had started. The storm was over. His empire was dust. I took a slow sip of my water, the taste of cold victory clean on my tongue. He wasn't ruined by a lover's scorn, he was ruined by due diligence. And the woman he had tried to silence just walked away with the man who would now own everything he once controlled.